Good afternoon. It is a little after 1. It's July 6, 2022, and it's a little after 1. Commission Secretary, would you please call the roll? Present.
Present.
Present. Great, we have quorum. So welcome, everyone. I've got a friendly reminder that for us today, presently, that we're continuing to provide a live stream for our open meetings of public and being able to view from their home and office. If you're speaking, please make sure you speak into the microphone and that the microphone is on so we can hear what you got to say. We're going to start our meeting this afternoon with a safety emphasis. Tim Taylor, Senior Safety Specialist, is going to share with us what to do in case of an emergency. Tim?
Well, Mr. Chairman, before we start that, I'd like to publicly wish you a happy birthday today. And today is Chairman's birthday.
Not quite the day. 16.
It's in 2 weeks. Oh, it's in 2 weeks? Well, they told me it was the day. It's 2 weeks. But anyway.
Drop to 1.
Oh, that's right. Okay. But anyway,
Well,
happy birthday.
thank you.
And I wish you many, many more.
Thank you. Oh, my. We can't have a fire in here, though, can we? All right, thank you.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Thank you and happy birthday.
Tim, tell us what to do here.
Well, unfortunately, Tim Taylor's not here, so he owes me one, but I'm the safety man. I'm the Central District Safety and Health Manager. So a few safety reminders for this afternoon. In case of event of a fire, the commission director and commission secretary will exit the rear of the room and out the back door in the conference room 101 on the sidewalk on Jefferson Street. The audience, they will exit through the doors to the lobby and out of the back of the entrance by the loading dock, and then they will proceed to the sidewalk on Jefferson Street as well. An alternative exit is down the stairs and out through the main entrance. Please walk up the hill at Jefferson Street until everyone is safely out of the parking lot and safe distance from the building and the emergency response vehicles. In case there is a small fire, there's a fire extinguisher in the rear corner of the room by the AV podium. I've asked Michelle Watkins to retrieve the use of the fire extinguisher if needed. In the event of severe weather, everyone should head to the center stairwell and go down as far as possible. If we must evacuate this room, please take a moment and note who you're sitting next to. Make sure upon arrival to our designated safe location that you account for that individual that you are sitting next to. If there's a medical emergency, most people in this room are hopefully certified CPR. Linda Horn has volunteered. She will call 911 and direct emergency responders to our location at 105 West Capitol. Eric Schroeder and Becky Almroth, the all-star volunteers for every CPR event, has volunteered to necessarily help if care is needed. If there's a need for the AED in the hallway across from Building 103, Luke Reed said he will retrieve the AED in case of medical emergency. That concludes the safety minute for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to recognize a couple special guests. We have Mayor Sandy Lucy, former mayor, City of Washington. And I think you're going to talk a little bit later. Okay. Well, you get 5 minutes.
I'll give you 10.
Next thing I'd like to do is review a few procedural items. I want to remind everyone we have a public comment period, and please offer this to all Missourians that want to come before the commission. Any of you that would like to address the commission, please sign up before 1:30. A reminder, you'll have 5 minutes for public comment, 10 minutes per subject. So technically, she could have 10 minutes. Yep. On abstentions, I'd like to review our abstention process. There are commissioners that, because of land ownership or business interest, or lawyers that may represent clients that may either have some relationship to a matter come before the commission and may have a potential or actual conflict of interest to be considered or voted upon. The commission member will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting on those particular items. If an agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or the like, the commissioner may specify that particular matter and then still vote on the remainder of the agenda items. This information has been provided to the commission secretary by letter Commission Secretary will duly indicate any abstentions in the meeting minutes. Madam Secretary, have those letters been prepared? Thank you. So the next item is an action item, consideration of our regular meeting on May 4th, 2022, and a special meeting on May 3rd, 2022, and May 18th, 2022. Are there any additions or corrections to those meeting minutes?
Move we approve the minutes.
Been moved and seconded. We have that motion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. The next item of business is consideration of items on the consent agenda. Does anyone need to remove or have discussion on anything on the consent agenda?
Move we approve the consent agenda. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. John, did he say aye?
John, did you say aye?
Yeah, I'm saying aye. I'm sorry.
Okay. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion carries. Our next order of business is to receive committee and board reports. I serve as the chair of the audit committee, and Commissioners Briscoe and Ecker also serve on the audit committee. I'll give today's report. The audit committee met on June 6, 2022 with the external auditors from Reuben Brown regarding the upcoming fiscal year 2022 statement audit as required by law. The committee reviewed and approved the fiscal year 2023 internal audit plan, which identifies the audits, and the internal audit staff will be conducting this in the next fiscal year. Our next committee meeting is on November 2022. It says 1, but I'm pretty sure it's 2. Next item is Commissioner Briscoe and I serve as co-chairs of the Legislative Committee, and Commissioner Briscoe is going to give today's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, here's my report. Following the conclusion of the 2022 session of the Missouri General Assembly, Governor Parson now has the task of reviewing each of the truly agreed to and finally passed bills. He must decide on which of these he will sign, veto, or take no action on, letting them go into effect. As of July 1, the governor signed several of the 61 bills into law that were passed this session. As for the fiscal year 2023 operating budget, the governor has taken action on those proposals by either signing the bills as passed into law or using his line item veto to sign a balanced budget. I'm happy to report that MoDOT's budget was approved as passed by the General Assembly without any line item vetoes or withholdings. Some of the highlights included in this budget included $100 million in general revenues for low-volume roads, $75 million in general revenues for the continuation of the governor's share program, and $67 million for port improvements and operations. The new fiscal year 2023 took effect on July 1. During his director's report, Patrick will make some comments regarding the next fiscal year's budget and its impact on the department. Also, as in years past, the legislature passed 2 omnibus road and bridge memorial designation bills. Those bills contain many important designations. One important designation for the mentioning is the naming of the Jefferson City, Missouri River Bridge, which will be named after U.S. Senator Roy Blunt. Senator Blunt will be retiring from the U.S. Senate later this year, and the legislature believes this designation will be a nice honor for him. Legislation that the governor signs will go into effect on August 28th unless noted otherwise in that legislation. Any legislation the governor vetoes may be overridden by the legislature during their annual veto session in mid-September. As a reminder, very little of the public policy changes passed have an effect on MoDOT. This ends my legislative committee report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Briscoe. Commissioner Smith serves as president of the MTFC, and Commissioners Water and Commissioner Ecker are board members. Commissioner Smith, do you have a report today?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, I do not have a report. Our next meeting is scheduled for October, so I will have a report then.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith, Boatwright, and Ecker serve on the Emperor's board. Today, Commissioner Boatwright will provide the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board met on June the 16th. At this meeting, we received the election results for the new trustees. We also approved a 5-year strategic plan with the revised mission statement, and it included resources for cyber audit, additional staff for different areas of investing, and additional resources for the building they're currently in. So, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you. As chairman, I serve on the Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee and provide a report today. The Missouri Coalition of Roadway Safety Executive Committee did not meet in May. However, there are a couple things I'd like to report. It's exciting that the state has been hosting a hands-on driving clinics for new drivers. The clinics give young drivers a hands-on opportunity to learn critical skills in driving, such as emergency braking, skid control, and avoiding distractions. The first clinic was hosted in Kansas City by Ford's Driving Skills for Life program. Another clinic was held in Bridgeton by Brakes Driving School. A third clinic was also put on by Brakes and is scheduled for July 9th and 10th in Jefferson City. We'd like to thank the Missouri State Highway Patrol for hosting the Jefferson City event. I'm also pleased to announce that we're making progress in reducing fatalities. We've had a 5% year-to-date reduction that keeps us all doing our part towards 0 deaths in the summer. So remember, buckle up, phone down. Come on, get with it. This is a group effort. Buckle up, phone down, slow down, drive sober. That concludes my report. The next item on the agenda is MoDOT Director's Report. Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I wanted to first inform the commission and reinforce something that we did starting with this fiscal year. We've been looking at all of our internal safety practices. We've been, frankly, been looking at all of it: policy, process, people, projects, the whole gamut. And on last Friday, I introduced a new policy at MoDOT, and it's our #1 safety policy. Safety is our primary value, and we wanted to make this is an element that's in everything that we do and all of our documentation across the board, but in many cases maybe hidden in plain sight. So we want to make it perfectly clear. We want to empower all MoDOT employees through this policy, and it's very simple. And creating a simple policy in an organization as complicated as this is no small feat, as you all have become aware in your tenures on the commission. But here's the policy simply stated. To provide for the safety of employees and those we serve, MoDOT employees have the right to take immediate action to stop an unsafe practice, period. That's the policy. And what that means in practicality is that in anything that we do, whether it's a work zone, whether it's a job going on, whether it's something going on in an office building, that employee has the right and the responsibility to report those issues. Now, we've taken what we learned during the pandemic, where we set up using incident command methodology and response methodologies that are well known, and we have some experts here in the organization. We set up a pandemic response team that had an incident command structure. We managed our operations throughout the pandemic over 780 days with that incident command structure in place. And what that did was it brought together a whole team of from all over the organization, every district, every division, all layers of management. And we collectively worked quickly through issues that came up during the pandemic. We've decided that has been disbanded for the most part, except for tracking COVID cases. And we're going to reinstitute the incident command structure that we use there. We've created a safety response team. Our incident commander is Becky Almaroth, our Chief Safety and Operations Officer. And we've already met once. The idea is with this safety policy in place, as employees identify an unsafe practice or maybe a work zone that needs to be shut down, they have a team to go to immediately resolve the issues associated with that item. We're going to meet regularly every week to start as we work through these issues. But the reason is that we intend to be the management team at MoDOT that drives fatality and serious injuries out of MoDOT. We've had over 100-year history. We've averaged 1.4 fatalities of employees over our entire 100-year history. And the distribution of that over the decades is pretty normal. There's always been something, right? Right now, what we're dealing with the public is distraction, using the cell phones. This is, the Apple phone, the iPhone just had its 15th year anniversary this past month. And that's changed the work that we do. I don't know that we've fully caught up to that from an operational standpoint, but there have been issues, when we were building the interstate, there were other issues that created safety issues. And the other pieces, I would say, is complacency. And complacency can work its way into any little pocket in any organization. And one as big as this, it occasionally happens. We've seen that. We've been out. I want to recognize Becky Almaroth and Ed Hassinger have been on a statewide tour for the last 6 months, going and meeting with every one of our maintenance operations throughout the state. And they've been seeing what they see, and they've been noticing, for the most part, the vast majority, just outstanding efforts on the part of the team. But the fact of the matter is we've had very high turnover. We've just been through a pandemic. We had declining utility of our training programs and some of that. And we know that we have to catch up to these things. And we're setting the structure in place to do it. We've established a policy that makes it very clear for employees that it's their right to determine their own safety in the workplace and to work with our team to do that. We're going to work on people. We're going to work on the organizational structure. As of July 1st, all of our safety managers are now working through a reporting structure. They're embedded out in the districts throughout our organization, but they have a direct reporting line to our Chief Safety and Operations Officer. This is going to help us standardize our safety practices throughout the organization. It's also going to help us cover when we have turnover has hit our safety professionals as well. We've had places in the state that were uncovered with safety professionals in the past few years, and that's unacceptable. So we're going to share resources and do that through central management. And we're also looking at our project construct. We're bringing in the safe system approach with a practice that's been developed here called SAFER, and that's still to be developed, but it's to work in safety techniques and to look at the entirety of the construct of our transportation network for vulnerable users and others as we build and maintain our system. That's got more work to follow. We're gonna be out there with our partners, and we're gonna collect feedback and work on that. But the idea here is what the idea always is, which is to improve the safety of the traveling public when they're using our system, and it's to eliminate fatalities and serious injuries here at MoDOT as we move forward. This is, I think, an important move forward for the organization, and we've got a great team working on it, and I'm pleased to introduce those changes. We also have some good news. The MoDOT teams recently won 2 out of the 6 categories for this year's Governor's Awards for quality and productivity. These are big statewide awards. We really appreciate the governor's attention to recognizing good work throughout the state. But a team of Kansas City employees received the award for innovation for their work on the new displaced left interchange on Interstate 35 and Missouri Route 152 in Liberty. We've got a picture of the team that won that award. They did some great job. We've got the hardware here. We'll get it out to the teams who like to parade it around here for a couple days, and then we ship it out to the people that actually won it. But the goal of this team was to replace the 152 bridge over I-35 and to widen the corridor to create better traffic flow. The team designed the displaced left turn interchange, the first of its kind in the world. As a result of this interchange, the community will save about almost $2 million per year in congestion costs. Pedestrian accommodations were also added, making it easier than ever before for pedestrians to use the bridge and cross the street with added safety. That's exactly what I just mentioned with the safe systems approach, is what this team's already been incorporating here. We also had the I-270 North team in St. Louis receive the award for customer service for the work on real-time mapping project. And here's the team in front of you. Again, the award here. The primary goal here was to fully update maps in 2 months. By partnering with companies directly to update GPS, they were able to make these quick updates, which before took up to 6 months. With a quicker external and internal mapping, MoDOT's able to provide a better product for travelers and commercial drivers. From July to December of 2020, the average number of crashes per day dropped from 3.15 to 3.03, which was a 2.8% improvement. So really great innovations from the MoDOT team. I think we've got Tom is sitting right here, and he's up there in the picture. So great leadership with the St. Louis team going on there. Also at a ceremony on June 21st, Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe presented all the 2021 State Employee of the Month awards. MoDOT employees were award recipients for 3 of those months. And here you see our recipients. Southeast District Construction and Materials Engineer Jason Williams was the July 2021 Employee of the Month. He was recognized for managing multiple projects, including a $140 million bridge project, while he took over his new role leading construction for the district. He actually volunteered to keep leading the project as well as taking on those new roles. So great job there. St. Louis Maintenance Superintendent Amir Gadi was the August 2021 Employee of the Month. He was recognized for providing life-saving first response to a driver injured on a crash on I-70. We recognized him with the commission with our Meritorious Safety Award recently, you may recall. Northwest District Maintenance Crew Leader Jordan Delameter was awarded the September 2021 Employee of the Month. He was recognized for quickly assisting 2 people in a vehicle in rising floodwaters and helping them to safety. He actually pulled his 10-wheeler right up beside him and had him crawl on top of his cab. Pretty clear he saved their lives. So unbelievable work on the part of our team. We also received one of the 5 Governor Award of Distinctions. Transportation Planning's Intermediate Organizational Performance Analyst, Kate Bax, and Central Office Communications Manager, Taylor Bruni, received the Innovations Award for their work to convert our tracker to the online document that we use today. So it's the Tracker Evolution. I don't know if Taylor or Kate is in the room, but they are not. They're busy at work. Again, a whole host of awards for the team over the past month. On Thursday, June 23rd, you may have seen this in the news, a tractor trailer flipped on its side and slid into the bridge over Interstate 70 at High Hill in Montgomery County. The impact damaged the center bridge support. You see the photos there. Pretty substantial incident there. Working with the contractor, the team quickly installed false work to support the bridge, and replacement of the center bridge support began yesterday and should be completed next week. So quick action on the part of the team here to keep the infrastructure in place and available to the public. But these are the types of things we have to deal with and respond to. Requires flexibility of our team and the budget resources that we have. I also want to thank Chairman Brinkman last week for attending and addressing MoDOT's Summer Intern Conference. We've got a picture here. This was what a great opportunity. We had over 100 interns gathered for the conference this year. The commissioner gave an inspiring presentation on how to be innovative to all of these interns. And you could see they were still talking about it later on that evening and the next day. We really appreciate your time and sharing your guidance with these. And we also appreciate you telling them to come work at MoDOT instead of handing out your own business cards. That worked really well for us. So. That's right. That's right. A couple times at Rolla, we were slow to the draw, and you beat us to the punch there. So it's nice to have that healthy competition. But what a bright, for everybody that gets concerned about the future, spend a little time with really bright, energetic students that are on their way and going to make a difference. And you don't have to worry about the future too much. On today's agenda, you're going to hear a presentation of the final final draft of the statewide transportation improvement program. This is following our comment period held in June. This is approximately $10 billion. $10 billion. So it's the largest STIP in Missouri state history. And what is really exciting about it is the investment alone on the lettered route system in this STIP exceeds the amount of the entire STIP from when you all started on this commission. And when I came here to MoDOT, it was under $2 billion. We have a $2 billion investment to lettered routes, bridges, roads, low volume impact, the additional funds that the governor and the General Assembly made available. And a massive return for taxpayers who have increased the motor fuel tax, and the federal bill that's coming in. We're able to fully match that because of that effort. And that's why we're able to put this together. The commission's leadership a couple years ago to tell us to prepare for this day, to go out and work with communities all across the state to develop the unfunded needs list, put us in a position to assemble this list of over 1,700 projects and well over 1,000 bridges, thousands of miles of pavement improvements, road and bridge work all over the state. It's a return to the taxpayers for their investment, and the work is ready to be underway, and the department is hugely excited about working on this. So we're thrilled with your leadership getting us to this point, and we're looking forward to Eric giving us the presentation and more of the details here. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Patrick. Anybody have any discussion regarding Patrick's report?
No discussion really. Just it's great to see you continue to work on this new policy for safety. That is our number one priority, and gives Becky a little more to do. So they'll be reporting to her. But I know how proud, Patrick, you must be of the teams that won those governor awards, and their dedication. This shows the dedication of the employees that we got, and we're very lucky to have them, and we do appreciate all their hard work. It doesn't go unnoticed, but $10 billion.
$10 billion.
That sounds good, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Nice round number.
But anyway, good job. We appreciate all the good information.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Next item on the agenda is an action item. Travis Kester, State Design Engineer, present the bids for consideration. Travis, give us the good news.
Good afternoon, Chairman Brinkman, Commissioners, Director McKenna. I'm bringing you the results of the June 17th, 2022 bid opening, in which MoDOT received 34 bids on 17 calls. We recommend the following to you today, and that is to award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder except for call A09 located in the Northwest District. We recommend rejection of call A09 due to excessive bids per section 102 of the Missouri Standard Specifications for Highway Construction. So short and sweet, that's it for today. So.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Move we approve the bids as recommended.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carried. Thank you, Travis. Do you have an update?
Yeah, for Focus on Bridges, we just had a couple of those today. That gets us up to 242 bridges. We're around $14.3 million over budget. That leaves 8 bridges left to be awarded, and Like we've reported before, we expect all to be awarded by March of next year. And this is the first bid opening of the fiscal year. So $47.3 million for today, which is $7.9 million over budget. So just getting started for this fiscal year. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Travis, for your report. It's certainly concerning to continue to see inflation impacting our projects.
Yeah, that's nearly 20% over budget, 7 million, but 20% over budget. So we're monitoring it and trying to deal with it. And there's certain work that just has to proceed. And you know, we know it's a stressor on the construction industry as well.
Yeah, thank you. The next item on the agenda is an action item. Eric Curtit, Transportation Planning Director, will present bids for our consideration. Actually, there's a STIP, right?
STIP. A lot of bids coming from the STIP, but yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Director McKenna. I'm Eric Curry, Transportation Planning Director for MoDOT. I brought for visual what 10 billion looks like. Keeps getting thicker. We get more and more concise in our reporting, but it still expands. Today, I'm going to talk a lot about the STIP, but there's a lot of work that goes in the STIP from all the districts and divisions around the state to compile this monstrous behemoth we call the STIP. And they rely on a lot of expertise, a lot of reports, a lot of queries, a lot of questions from one team at MoDOT. And it's not me that puts the STIP together, but I brought the STIP team down from upstairs in planning, and I'd like them to stand up right now. These are the folks that make it happen. Excellent work.
You know, with unfunded needs, with the draft plan that we put together in advance of the legislative session this year, and with the actual STIP, this team ran 3 STIPs in 1 year instead of 1, and they did it while implementing a new system at the same time. So it's just outstanding work.
Yeah, they're not staring at me, are they? No. Very good. They do excellent work, and I don't know what we'd do without them. They're excellent teammates. This year on the STIP 2, I wanted to highlight before I get started, we started something. There's a little QR code down here in the bottom left corner. We're going to start using QR codes all over the place to sort of help the public find these things easier. We have QR codes. We're going to put them everywhere. I think we might put them in trees and parks too, but they'll lead everybody to the electronic version of the STIP and all the STIP maps, everything electronic, all up to date when folks query it. So you'll start seeing QR codes all over a lot of our stuff. So without further ado, I'll get to the STIP. It never works for me. There we go. Okay. So our STIP uses a financial planning model to make the financial plan for the STIP. In this, you saw it in January, the financial forecast. It also talks about things, everything, kind of all our money, the operating budget, the STIP's allocation, and that's what we build the STIP on, is we start right there with our financial planning. The second key component of the STIP is Missourians' involvement, and we call it generically the planning framework. But there's over 1,000 people directly involved in helping populate the STIP, and they're all local officials, both locally elected officials, public works directors, aldermen, all kinds of folks, special interests that get involved in helping us make good decisions about what we do with our limited resources in Missouri. And it really is just good business. And later on, I'm going to bring back the point about why it's important to involve folks early on before decisions are made. But it does allow for better projects, better programs, and allows Missourians to have inputs, again, prior to those decisions being made. And they blanket the state. This is a summary of just the first year of the STIP. You can see that it's got, if you add all those numbers up, it's about $2.5 billion in just the first year. Basically, as Patrick mentioned, the first year alone is larger than a lot of the STIPs we've done in the past. And it's just outstanding to see this level of investment in our STIP. $1.6 billion in highways and bridges, 220 in local programs, 132 million in multimodal, and 567 million in operations and maintenance work. As the financial forecast go, this is a component that one of the key parts that we want from it. Red is last year's, and you can see the STIP. We were about 1.1 billion down to about $1.05 billion throughout the horizon. And you can see the new financial forecast. It's about a 50% increase over the last STIP's financial forecast, which is a huge level of investment that is made possible, as Patrick mentioned, by the increased federal investment and the state investment in transportation. For years, Missourians have expressed to MoDOT that their key priority is taking care of what we have. And you'll see in this STIP, while the level of investment is much larger, that priority still maintains of taking care of what we have first. We have a $145 billion asset to maintain, and that's what this STIP primarily is focused on. A quick refresher, you've seen me talk about these maps a few times. The majors, about 5,500 miles of the system. They're about 75% of travel is on them, and 90% of those are in good condition. You got the minor road network. It's about 16,800 miles of road, carries about 23% of travel, and today it's in 80% good condition. And then you've got the low volume routes that are 11,400 miles of roads. They carry about 2% of travel and are in 71% good condition as of July 1. And we can't forget about bridges. There's only 10,400 of them in Missouri, and over 200 of them are major bridges. I think the last number I saw was 207. It always moves around a little bit, and 823 of those are in poor condition. One of the key things that you all did for us was direct us to address deficiencies in those low volume routes that we had from different experiences from the south to the north part of the state through the asset management deficit program. And then we've also been able to include the governor's rural route funding program, where we got another $100 million to bring the total investment in just low volume road pavement condition around the state to $228 million in the life of this STIP. It'll address again that level of service difference around the state. So the STIP 2, as I mentioned, Missourians really want us to focus on taking care of what we have first, much like they do in their own lives. And while the investment is up, you can still see that the 23 to 27 still has 74% of the investment goes to maintaining our system and 20% on capital improvement, compared to 84 and 8 respectively for the last STIP. Bridges and pavements, the key component, the major components of the road and bridge system, 4,600 more miles of pavement in this STIP being addressed than the last one, 256 more bridges being addressed than the last one. This includes all types of work. It says major bridge and it's 94. That includes rehabs, all kinds of light work to major replacements of those structures as well. That was the first 3 years of the STIP. Another key thing that the commission has is its funding distribution policy that we use to allocate those resources of investments by Missourians. And using this funding distribution, there's 1.369 available in the first year of the STIP for distribution. We distribute to safety, asset management, and system improvement. Safety is obviously distributed by district's percentage of fatalities and serious injuries. Asset management is system size and system usage. And then system improvement is system usage, population, and employment. And the population and employment the employment is updated as we go along, and population got the decennial census update in this STIP as well. You know, building road and bridges isn't the only thing we do. We have a lot of folks that most MoDOT employees are focused on maintenance and operation of the system, and we include those major tasks that they do to our system in the STIP as well, to give that full picture of what we're doing, not only to build and operate or build and expand the system, but what we do to maintain and operate it. And it gives a better picture. And this is an example of the Central District, shows their work and the basic work types that they do that folks will notice. You know, they're not going to notice grass cutting maybe on a map, but we don't put it on there. But this is the work to roads and bridges that our maintenance forces do. All right, getting to the final numbers in the STIP, we've added 781 projects to the STIP. There was 25 deleted. A lot of these are just being incorporated into other projects, and there's a few that weren't deemed necessary by the public anymore, and some technical route splits of jobs and stuff like that, and then just a small handful of no projects no bids received, but 721 asset management jobs, 30 system improvement, and 30 other jobs were added to this STIP. Multimodal has 48 projects added and 4 deletions for the same typical criteria we use for the STIP. So you remember earlier when I talked about Missourians being involved early in decision-making, we received a whopping 317 comments. That's low for a STIP of $10 billion. So we had 253 comments supporting projects and 2 comments opposing projects. 2. When you look at this, and I did a little comparison, there's about, if you look at the number of projects in the STIP against the number of comments, we have over 5 times the amount of projects as we do comments for the STIP. Pretty impressive number. Means that we're really working and engaging with Missourians and getting the best out of we can out of the resources we have. So we came before you with the draft. Here are the changes that we've made since the draft was presented to you. Basically, the major change was the addition of the governor's rural route funding program. But everything else was there were some minor revisions, some technical corrections, if you will, to the rest of the document, an address change, corrected a tip number, fiscal year, those kinds of things. But the big one was adding the governor's program to it with 14 project bundles being added. So with that, I would recommend that the commission approve the 23 to 27 STIP, certify the planning process is carried out according to 23 CFR 450-220, delegate authority to the deputy director and chief engineer to add scoping, hardship, right-of-way purchases, and urgent and emergency projects, and make fiscally constrained revisions to projects. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any discussion? Commissioner Waters.
Eric, thank you. That has to be exciting for you, and I think it's great that you brought the team back there today. So it's always nice for us to be able to thank these teams through their leaders, but for you guys to actually be here, it's really nice for us to be able to say thank you for the work that you've done. And what a massive job this year with the literally 3 steps, right? And you forgot to mention COVID, you know? So just an amazing job, and I'm happy for you guys to be able to see us approve it. And so, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the STIP and follow the recommendations that Eric just presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same
Aye.
sign.
Thank you.
Hearing none, that motion carries. Patrick, do you have any comments for Eric?
We're going to let Eric go on vacation now. He was supposed to drop the mic and walk right out the door. So nice job. Thank you.
Right. All right. Next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Michelle Watkins, Central District Engineer, is going to provide us a presentation on the Central District, which is where we are. Michelle.
Very good. Good afternoon, Chairman Brinkman, Commissioners, Director McKenna. We're really excited to be here today to be able to highlight some of the exciting work that's going on in the Central District right now. Just as a little recap, I know you love all your districts, but Central District just a little bit more, right? We are the 18th centermost counties of the state. Our 558 employees serve a population of more than 650,000 Missourians, and we cover a little over 11,000 square miles in our system. You know, asset management remains a priority to us, and we, like the other districts, maintain a 10-year asset management plan. And that's the way we make sure that the investments we make today help us maintain those system conditions that you all set, those goals, long-term. In terms of our system, we have a little over 11,600 lane miles in the Central District. And so about 22% of those are major routes, and we hover just above what the statewide goal is, which is 90%. We're at 91 and a little bit over that. In terms of minor routes, about 55% of our lane miles in the Central District are minor routes. And we're a little shy of what the statewide 80% goal is at 77.6. And over the last couple of STIP cycles in our asset management plan, we've been working at that and adjusting our investments accordingly. And I expect to see that number very, very close to the 80% as is updated here very soon for you all. And then finally, the remaining 23% of our routes are low volume routes. The condition level is just above 70%, which is the goal. And we're pretty excited about having some of that asset management deficit funding to be able to aim at some of our worst condition routes, along with the rural route funding from the governor's and the legislature's budget that was just recently passed. We have just shy of 1,300 bridges in the Central District, 94 of which are in poor condition. You know, for many, many years, more than a decade, we have been in a position to do very little more than asset management type projects. And so with additional funding, you know, last year from some additional CARES Act funding and Corona relief funding, your plan looking forward about issuing additional Amendment 3 bonds, coupled with this year's funding that came from the increase in state fuel tax and the federal Jobs and Infrastructures Act funding, we're finally in a position to be able to start delivering on those long-awaited, high-priority unfunded needs that our partners have been so focused on and so interested in seeing. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Assistant District Engineer, Randy Elber, and our Project Director for the Rocheport Bridge, Brady Baldwin, to talk a little bit more in detail about the projects that are underway in the Central District.
Good afternoon. Last July, we came to you asking you to award the project of the Roadway Bridge to the Lunda team. And then in October, we broke ground on that project. I'm proud to report that we are moving along nicely on our first bridge. And just 2 weeks ago, we are safely out of the water with our drilled shafts on the first structure and moving along with the rest of the structure nicely. Our grading work is also progressing well, and we're on track to open our first bridge in spring of next year with the full project completion by the end of 2024.
So a few months back, I guess about October last year, we had this structure in the photo here up at west of Columbia that got struck by an oversized load. Pretty much took the bridge out of service right then, and we were quick to act to accelerate the plans for replacement on that structure. We turned that around in about 4 days, went out for bid, and anyway, had the demo completed there in November, and then turned around and opened the new structure this past May. So really just goes to show you the teamwork that goes on within the department. We had basically within the district and central office, as far as all the divisions involved, from maintenance to emergency response to design to bridge, and our contractor partners, we were able to deliver this project. Kind of back to that asset management discussion, but one of the things our planning commissions recognize is the need to make some investment in the pavements on our interstates. One of those projects is the reconstruction of the pavement between Rolla and St. James on I-44. We were able to accelerate that project. We put it into, grouped it with another project last summer. And basically, we're able to put this out for bid, and it's under construction right now. So we're excited about being able to make that long-term investment on the pavement on I-70 with this job. In addition, we've got some other activity to the west of there with rehabs at Ruby Doo and Trophy Lane bridges, but making some advancement on keeping those systems up and running. Back in 2019, we completed a road safety audit of Route 63 and Route 54 in our district. From those audits, we recognized the there was some safety improvements that could be made along those corridors. We started to basically implement those improvements, and those have been underway and are continue to be underway. If you drive between Jeff City and Columbia, you'll notice some of the, additional improvements that are made along that corridor. And then the same way between here and Lake of the Ozarks, we also have those improvements ongoing. Again, just out towards Tipton, we did a little bit of a project out there improving an intersection with Route 50 and 5. Also just another spot that, our partners recognize, and they're asking for these improvements, and we're able to deliver them. And then we get a bunch of good stuff coming up. So, with the additional investment that's been mentioned, we're happy to be able to give some kind of updates on those. I will note the next few slides, you'll notice some years given on there. Those are state fiscal years on those slides. So just keep that in mind as we're discussing through that.
So the I-70 US 63 interchange, locally known as the connector in Columbia, is among Central District's highest traffic volume and most congested interchange, seeing roughly 190,000 traffic movements daily. When the Roche Bridge became fully funded in 2019, this made room for this project to move up as our top unfunded needs project. And we bring to you today several action items on this project, with the first being it is in the STIP for the 23-27 STIP. Other action items are we would like to move forward with this project as a design build project, and our intentions is to bundle this project with several others in the area to take advantages of some economies of scale and release an RFP in late state fiscal year 2023.
So another important project that was identified on our high priority unfunded needs was the Route 54 I-70 interchange in Kingdom City. Basically, we were able to look at this interchange now and make capacity improvements to improve the flow through this interchange. It's got a lot of commercial traffic. You can see in this photo, we got a lot of trucks that are populating these movements. And so these improvements will help to improve the flow through there and really address this high need. Just on the other side of the river here in Jefferson City, we've got the Route 5463 expansion that we've got in the works. It basically adds lanes between, that section between where 63 diverts up to Columbia. So we're able to increase some capacity in there. If you drive through there during the morning and evening, basically rush hours, that area gets pretty congested. So we're going to be able to address that and basically improve the way it flows through that area. Up in Columbia, we've got an interchange at 63 and Grindstone, or AC. We're going to be able to make some improvements there as well. Another high priority need that we're excited to be able to deliver. This particular interchange has a lot of movement that is coming coming from the west on Grindstone and headed northbound on 63. That movement's pretty difficult with the existing interchange that sits there. So we're going to be able to make improvements that basically kind of alter that and improve the traffic flow there. Really excited about this project and what it's going to mean for how this interchange performs. Route 63, basically from Route 50 towards Rolla, has long been a high priority need for, our planning partners. We're excited to be able to move forward with the first segment of that. So we'll basically grab on at Route 50 and get it basically around Westphalia, around the Westphalia area is where this one will go. Important step in moving forward and making improvements on that corridor as well. And the last one I got is Route 54. It's an expansion down at Camdenton. Basically, this is the stretch from Route 5 and the Niagara branch of the lake.
There's a short segment in there that's 2-lane. It basically sits between a 4-lane segment of highway and a shared 4-lane segment of highway. So we're going to be able to make improvements to that and basically remove that bottleneck point in that section of roadway.
So as you can see, we're pretty excited to be able to deliver on so many of those unfunded needs that our partners worked hard to share with us. They've been clamoring for these kind of projects for a long time, and we're glad to be able to deliver it. Frankly, it feels really good as an employee to be able to meet those kinds of needs beyond just asset management. In addition, it feels really good to employees to work on these kinds of projects that really stretch their creativity, help them grow in their careers. It brings a new enthusiasm, right, to the day-to-day work that they do. So at this time, we'd be happy to answer any questions you all might have about the work that's going on in Central District.
Great presentation. Any questions for Michelle, Randy, or Brandy?
Questions, just comments. You got a lot going on in Central District.
We do.
Randy, you got your hands full with that road report I mentioned up there. So,
And the connector now.
yeah, that's exciting. So.
Commissioner Boatright?
Yeah, and I just echo what Commissioner Smith had to say. You guys are busy, and it's an exciting time. And Brandy, we appreciate what you're doing with Road Report, and appreciate your entire team. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 50 years ago, we were wanting 63 to go to 4 lanes. I'm glad to see we're making a start at it. Yeah, thank you. Patrick, any comments?
Well, you can see, and just to mention, Brandy's taking on that other large project there as project manager, but Michelle's doing a great job with the team. We were really excited when she took over the district, and it's paying off. And Randy's terrific longtime employee that's really leading the way. All of our districts have a lot of work ahead of them. And it's just great to see how excited people are for the work. It makes the job fulfilling. And when you're serving the public in a way that they have determined they want you to serve them. With Michelle said it well. They have worked hard to bring these priorities forward for us to pay attention to and to move on.
Yeah, it is exciting. Next item is a non-action item. Brian Hartnagel is going to, state engineer is going to provide a presentation on the bridge division. Brian?
Chairman Brinkman, Commissioners, Director McKenna, thank you for the opportunity to present to you. And first, let me say, as a Columbia resident and a Jeff City employee, I'm excited about all the projects because I use every one of them every day. So that's great news for me. Grindstone, the connector, getting here on the bridge in Jeff City, all of those are great projects. So I'm happy to present to you the condition of state bridges and the bridge division update for the year. As Eric mentioned, we have about 10,400 bridges. As of the NBI submittal, the National Bridge Inventory submittal that we submit to Federal Highway every year in the middle of March, we have 10,387 bridges on our system. And this is a point in time thing. It fluctuates daily when new bridges are added, old bridges are closed or replaced or so on. But we submit this every year to Federal Highway on March 15th. And so this is what we use for the data for the year. There's the map of all of those bridges. And with that, we have 823 poor bridges. As you can see, they're scattered throughout the state on major routes, minor routes, all over through the state. We've made a little progress over the course of the last 5 years. We decreased the number by 14 in the past NBI submittal, National Bridge Inventory submittal. We're at 823. Last year was 837. If you look at the distribution by decade, we show you this graph each year. We have replaced, if you look older than 1970, 67 less on this graph than last year. Okay, so we're making a little progress. I think last year we said there was about 55% or something, and about 53% are older than the intended 50-year life, or those built prior to 1970.
Again, this is the 2022 NBI submittal. I'll show you a few pictures here of poor condition bridges. Chester Bridge, you know, we are in the process of procuring a design build team to repair that bridge or replace that bridge. But you can see, you know, severe section loss, holes in webs of structural members. On the right-hand side, we have Duncan County, Route 62 over the St. Francis River. This goes from Campbell, Missouri to St. Francis, Arkansas over the St. Francis River. In here, you can see some pin and hanger situations that are corroded. This bridge also has very poor substructure, precast piles that are in poor condition. These pin and hangers also require additional inspection procedures. We call them fracture critical members. So we're happy to get that one off the system too. And then this is just our typical poor bridge, old bridge, curb outlets that let salt water go over the edge of the bridge, and, you know, section loss and rebar, spalled concrete. In this picture, we also see substandard railing. So we, you know, these are the types of things we have of those 823 poor bridges. So if we add up all the square foot deck area of those bridges, it's about 164 acres. And so I put this, I said slightly more than 4 homesteads or a quarter, 40 acre quarter sections there to put it in perspective. We also have 961 weight restricted bridges. And these bridges are ones that have a sign on it. And it may be that they can carry legal loads. In the urban areas, we have commercial zone postings, which may be higher than legal loads. And then many of these in the rural areas are smaller bridges that might be posted for 10 or 15 tons, and they would be restricting agriculture movements, things like that. This number, sadly, will probably go up because we were working with the Federal Highway Administration on a plan of corrective action. Our load rating procedures date back from the early 90s. And at that time, we didn't have, you know, special hauling vehicles that have 4, 5, 6, 7 axle dump trucks, essentially, and emergency vehicles, large fire trucks that are all allowed in the federal law now. And so we're working with them. We're going to have to load rate all 24,000 bridges in the state, our 10,400 approximately, and about 14,100 that are local public agency bridges as well. And so we expect that this number will increase as we go through that process. We're negotiating with Federal Highway on about a 15-year term to do that. So it's not all going to happen in 1 year or 1 day. If we look at the weight restricted bridges, we made a little progress, went down by 2. And, you know, this is related to what I just said. So if we combine poor and weight restricted with the Venn diagram there, we have about 318 that fit on both of those categories. We heard some talk about major bridges when Eric was presenting the STIP. We have 10,183 bridges that are typical. Those are less than 1,000 feet. And he mentioned 207. That was last year's number. Based on the 2022 NBI, we have 204 major bridges. 3 were removed from that. 1 bridge with a rehab project, 2 bridges were combined into 1. Essentially, they were separated and they were added together. 1 bridge we gave to the city of Kansas City, which was great, on Independence Avenue, an old riveted frame structure. And then 1 bridge was I-44 over the Merrimack River that was removed when the new bridge was in place there, the old bridge. If you look at the 204 major bridges, 52 of them span either the Missouri or Mississippi rivers. They're scattered throughout the state. You see the urban areas and also where the lakes are, essentially, or where these major bridges are, either over Missouri, Mississippi River, St. Francis River has a number of them, and then the lake locations. So funded major river or major bridge replacements. In May of this year, the commission approved the Route 86. We call it the Long Creek Bridge over Table Rock Lake. You approved that project in fiscal year 2022. These are fiscal years, as we note. In fiscal year 2023 is scheduled for a September letting. Right now, this is Route 79. This is in Hannibal, over some city streets, a railroad, and a creek. And we already talked about the Route 51 Missouri River over Chester. We hope to have a short list of the teams for that design build project in the near future. And then Chain of Rocks Bridge over the Mississippi River in St. Louis. Illinois is the lead state on this one. It will be let next Friday, July 15th. But the FY 2024 is our payment to Illinois is generally a year after the letting. So these are the funded bridge, major bridge replacements. And then we talk about some of the unfunded major bridge replacements. Route 291 over the Missouri River in Kansas City. This is what we call the Liberty Bend Bridge. It's in scoping process right now. Hope to get it added in 2026. The picture I showed you before, Route 62 over the St. Francis River in the southeast, that's in scoping as well, and hope to get that in 2026. And Route 29 or Interstate 29, the north and south viaduct approaches to the Casey Icon Bridge. That's the cable stay over the Missouri River. Each of those structures are about $100 million apiece, and we're hoping to get that in 2028. And Kansas is the lead state on this last one on the list here, Route 92. We call this the Centennial Bridge, and it goes from rural Missouri to Leavenworth, Kansas. And they're planning on letting that in 2027, and our payment is to them in 2028. So those are the major bridge topics. So last year, I talked to you about the bridge division, and so this is the bridge division update here. Essentially, we're kind of separated into two areas. We have bridge management, and that deals with inspection, the national bridge inventory that I've already mentioned, load rating and permitting, and local public agency topics that I think Travis is going to talk about here in just a moment as well. Up there in the top picture is a super load there. This is on Route 50 in Osage County. It's hard to see, but it's a huge pressure vessel that weighed like 400,000 pounds. And so our staff routes that across the state, those types of loads across the state. The other portion of our division is basically the project delivery staff. And they do everything from preliminary and hydraulic design. I show a little situation of a bridge with some flood water on it. They size the bridge openings for expected floods. Then the plans production people produce the plans, design the bridge, detail the bridge, check it. Our reviewers calculate cost estimates, working days, job special provisions, that type of thing. Our development section, they interpret AASHTO standards and other applicable national standards, and how is Missouri going to use those, and updates, keeps our EPG up to date. And incidentally, we heard one of our employees in the design division retired last month, and he's the EPG guy. And basically, he was telling us that the EPG, he gets comments from all throughout the country of how great our EPG is. And so we're happy to help with that as well with our development section. We have liaisons that hire consultants. They also work with the districts, and they also work with the border states. We have bridges that border 7 of the 8 states that we border. We don't have anything that borders Oklahoma or share anything with Oklahoma because there's no water between it. And lastly, fabrication inspection. I'll show some pictures of that. So start off with the bridge inspection in the bridge management area. The picture on the left there was taken by a private citizen, Skyview Photography. And this is down at the lake. It's Route 5 over the Lake of the Ozarks. And our people either spotted this on Facebook or he alerted us to it or something. But we got 2 employees in the bucket there on a A62. So this is an Aspen aerial. And the 62 means the 62 foot of reach that bucket can get from the knuckle there to reach under the bridges to inspect those. And then we have 2 of those units, and then we have one of the B32, which is the one picture on the right.
That's a smaller vehicle, lighter weight to get on bridges like this older truss that may have some weight restrictions on it. It's, the 32 is the 32 foot arm reach that they can have there. And so those employees are on travel status essentially all the time. So they leave Monday morning, come back Thursday afternoon, working out of hotels and traveling all throughout the state. They do about 1,000 of the 10,500 bridges in the state. The others are handled by the district personnel because you can access it with ladders and just walking under the bridge and looking at it. But when you need special access equipment, that's what these guys do. Associated with our bridge inspection people is our dive team. And so we do underwater inspection. I got a couple pictures here. Every year is for safety. They do what's called a checkout dive. There's a facility that's part in Missouri and part in Arkansas where they go down there, all the dive team divers. The first day is training in a pool and practicing safety protocols. And then what you see there on the left is Beaver Lake. This is actually in Arkansas. In that facility, the people that run that have set up various things on the bottom of the lake that people dive down to look at and so on. And on the right-hand side here, we see Terry Schoeneman. They also practice safety procedures. And so he's breathing secondary air without his mask. So for instance, something happens and his mask got taken off or his main hose got cut. He's practicing the secondary breathing. And they do other things where you breathe off of another diver's air and so on if there's emergency situations. So they practice all of that before they start the dive season. And these photos were taken the last week of May, and they're out diving right now, doing underwater bridge inspection. As I mentioned, the superload permits, our bridge management section works closely with the motor carriers people division to analyze superloads. What you see on the left there is pre-stressed concrete girders going to the Champ Clark Bridge replacement at Louisiana. That vehicle with the girder on there weighs about 108 tons. And those were trucked from Marshall, Missouri, where Course Lab is, to Louisiana. And they're on the Illinois approach side, so they had to get across the river. It wasn't the side that they didn't have to. So we had to analyze the old Champ Clark Bridge for one. Obviously, we closed traffic down the center line, creep speed, all that kind of stuff. So there were 16 of those girders that had to be transported across the river there. If you look at the superload permits, you'll notice that we average 200 a month, and then you have 2020 and 2021. And you think, well, we had a pandemic and nobody was doing anything. Our people were analyzing bridges. And you go, well, what was happening in the state during that time? And if you're from the north part of the state, they were building a lot of windmills up there. And so each of those windmills probably had 8 to 10 super loads that were addressed. And that's what was going on in 2020 and 2021. This year, we're again about 200 per month, so we'll be about 2,400 superload permits analyzed. Our program delivery staff, as I mentioned, they do the design of new bridges, the final design and plans production, jobs, the special provisions, all that stuff that we give to Travis's group to put together the letting packages. Despite having about 10 to 14 vacancies over the past couple of years, they've been able to deliver about $50 million worth of bridge work in-house each year. That's 12 new structures, 20 redecks, 100 rehabs, paintings, other miscellaneous preventative maintenance packages. So if we look at the bridge program, Eric presented a little bit of the STIP. I got all 5 years, thanks to Amy and Gary for providing the data here. 1,443 bridges, about 1.7 billion, 1.1 billion on typical bridges, about 600 million on major bridges. In the breakdown, a little more than half is replacements, about a third is rehabs and redecks, and then about an eighth preventative maintenance there.
You guys got to see the Buck O'Neill construction when you visited Kansas City. On June 13th, the first pre-stressed girders on the south approaches were delivered to the site. And it was neat. I could sit in my office and watch the traveler information camera. They were coming down I-70 and they backed up this ramp. Cranes picked them and set them. And then I happened to be watching the next day, and whoever was operating the traveler information camera kind of panned over and was looking at these. So I did a screen grab and put that on there. But these are the first girders of the south approach on the Buck O'Neill Bridge. Last year, I talked to you about clear cast deck forms, an innovation that we wanted to try. Well, this spring, we got those done on the first bridge. This is Route 47 over Interstate 44 in Franklin County. On the left-hand side here, you see the clear cast forms. Basically, it's cold form steel with an acrylic sheet over the top of it so you can see through it from the underside. The blue part there is a protective sheeting that hasn't been peeled off yet. The middle photo here is interesting because while the contractor was placing concrete on the bridge deck, our inspector was underneath the bridge and noticed this latent defect here where the concrete wasn't consolidated. And they alerted the contractor. Additional concrete vibration was put in place at this location to address that defect. With our stay-in-place forms or precast panels, that would have never been seen, and it would have been there for the life of the bridge. And then on the right-hand side, there is just the final product. We've used these on 3 bridges for this construction season. This was the first, and we have some more planned for next construction season as well. You guys also got to see with the Farm Bridge tour, the simple for dead load, continuous for live load. This is a pretty innovative approach where you take steel beams and you set them on the intermediate bents with simple configuration for the dead load. On the right-hand side there, you see basically the ends of 2 beams, and there's some steel blocks down there. That's to transfer the compressive force of negative bending moment. The positive bending moment is carried in the steel that's in the deck. That's not shown right there. But these are galvanized, hot dip galvanized. These should last 75 years because there's no joints in the bridges. And we're using those in the rural locations, but plan to extend that to other locations as well with this technology. And I wanted to show you one picture. I think I jumped past here. Fabrication. Maybe it's not in here. Okay. Is it? Okay. Yeah, I was wondering why it didn't show up. But anyhow, there was a picture in your ebooks, the fabrication. Yeah. So our fabrication inspector, Leonard Foster, is in Bowling Green, Kentucky most days. Those bridge girders that you see there are the river spans for Buck O'Neill Bridge. They're fabricating the Rocheport Bridge. They're starting on that. Brandy knows that. The flanges are being fabricated. And they also got the Long Creek Bridge, the Taney County Route 86. And so I wanted to show those pictures as well of what our fabrication people do. So at the end of my presentation there, I'm happy to address any questions that you may have.
Questions?
No question, just comment, Brian, that Missouri bridges are such an important part, and it's so fascinating to me. They also come with a huge price tag. So
Absolutely.
we appreciate your team and all your work and keeping us safe crossing those bridges.
Thank you. Yeah, my last slide there, basically, it's kind of our tagline. We get people safely where they want to go, but I always talk about the road can go to gravel. As we know, some of our low volume roads are almost to that state, but if you don't have a bridge,
Yeah.
you know, what good is, the road's closed. The bridges can't go to gravel, I guess is my point.
So that clear cast, I didn't have a photo up here. Is that a metal stud or is it a shape like a C channel?
They're C channels. It's cold form steel, so it'd be like what you would do in framing instead of using wood studs, that type of thing.
So
It's C channels.
It's a,
Yes.
it's a gauge,
Yes.
a metal gauge.
Yeah,
not
a cold channel with a cold form gauge, and then they put a They said high-quality acrylic plastic, because one of our questions was, you know, the headlights on your cars after exposed to ultraviolet light, they get cloudy. We're asking the same question about this, and they said, oh, this won't happen. But obviously, underneath, it's not going to get a lot of direct sunlight as well.
Is there a premium for that?
There is a premium for that. The reason, there we go. Some of the structures we selected were, not this one, but some of them were over railroads. And, you know, we have a lot of issues with getting permission from the railroads to inspect. And so if you can stay off of the right of way and look under there and get a kind of clue of what's going on under the deck, that's why we chose those. Their marketing is to states who don't allow stay-in-place forms or precast panels. And if you're doing traditional carpentry to frame up the deck with plywood and needle beams and all that kind of thing, you know, these are much easier and you can still see the underside.
Yeah.
So when we had conversations with the True Tech people initially, that's what we said. You're competing against something it's going to be more expensive than what we typically would do.
Yeah, that's cool. I hadn't seen that.
Yeah. So
Patrick?
awesome. Thank you for adjusting the slides there. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just have one comment. You know, when we look at the comparisons year on year and the trends for where we're going with poor condition bridges and weight restricted bridges, even though it looks like small progress in a couple of those years, keep in mind that, you know, over 100 bridges go into poor condition every year. So that's, you know, that's a net effect of getting ahead of that curve where just a few years ago, we were going in the opposite direction. So the team has done an amazing job to trend that in the right direction, both with weight restricted as well as poor conditions.
Yeah, you're correct. About 100 and something get added every year, and we try to take 112 or 114 off every year to keep it a little bit ahead. So thank you very much.
What a great job you get to work at.
Oh, yes.
Isn't it fun?
Yes, absolutely.
And it shows, your passion shows.
Oh, thank you. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Yeah.
So my wife, Brandy's project, the Rocheport Bridge, is near and dear to my heart. And we typically on weekends drive over to see what's going on, get gas on the other side of the river because it's about 30 cents cheaper and then drive back. But yeah, love it.
Great, thank you.
Cost you $10 to go over there, but. Yeah.
We're sorry for your wife.
Sorry.
The next item on the agenda is a non-action item. Travis Kestner, State Design Engineer, is going to present an update on local bridge programs. Travis.
All right, good afternoon again, Commissioners. I'm going to give you a quick update on the local bridge program. So federal funding flows through MoDOT, goes to a lot of the cities and counties. So very popular program, local bridge funding. We're making some changes to it. So you may have heard about this from some county commissioners. So I wanted to run through that today so everyone can hear what's going on with the program. So very quickly, the highlights are the federal rules changed in 2021. So as the federal money comes in, we could give it to cities and counties. In 2021, we changed where only the bridges that are rated as poor can use this federal funding. Brian talked about the NBI rating, and I hope Brian sticks around in case you have bridge questions because he's the expert on that and his staff. But prior to 2021, the counties could use this or the locals could use some of this federal funding on bridges that were deficient rather than poor. Deficient means it might be one-lane bridge on a bad curve, something like that, but still structurally fine. The change to poor means it has to be a structurally poor bridge as rated by Brian's bridge inspectors as they go out there. So that actually changed the eligibility pretty significantly for some parts and some counties in the state based on the bridges that they have. And I'll talk about distribution of these funds a little bit later on. So that's kind of separate from everything else we've been doing with this funding, but that's a federal law change that we had to institute. Other than that, we have the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, which provides the overall more funding in the regular bridge program, and then also an additional program called the Bridge Formula Program. And so what that's going to affect is we're going to have less overall match of funds from the counties as they do new bridges. So just like us, we have to match our federal funds, usually with about 20% local money. With the two combined programs in a bipartisan infrastructure law, the counties will not really have to match with a full 20% anymore. We're going to combine those two funds together, so their overall local match is going to be down around 12% mark, or even a little bit less as we move forward years to come. So, and all these federal funds are nice and complicated to explain to 114 counties as we go out. So if you have questions when we get to the end, feel free to ask. We've been reaching out a lot. So basically, the existing program, BRO, stands for Bridge Replacement Off System. Generally, it was $20 million prior to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act. That got raised to about $28 million per year. That still requires the 20% local match, and it's distributed by Port Bridge deck area again. That changed in 2021. So just kind of explaining that portion of it, how that distribution changed to Port Bridge deck area, has been a little bit of a challenge statewide with a lot of the county commissions, but that's the federal rule change that we have to follow. This money has been distributed per county since about the 1970s. So the thing about it, though, since the 1970s, that dollar amount's been about the same. We look back, and the dollar amount in the 70s was actually 21 million for several years. So now it's up to 28 million. But a bridge, if you go out and hit the labor statistics, a bridge now costs 5 times more than it did in 1975 if you just take dollar per dollar construction index. So what's kind of happened over the years is this left several counties, as they got their portion share of funding based on their poor bridges. This left several counties without enough money to replace a bridge within a year or even 5 years or 10 years. So that left a lot of money just sitting around that was not being used as counties try to build up their money to do a bridge. So unused money by federal rules should actually expire after 5 years. So in other words, get taken away. But us as MoDOT have been able to take care of that with the overall bridge money that we spend statewide through the years. So we kind of
That's a kind description.
Yeah, Patrick loves these kind of programs like that. They kind of let them keep their balance, even though they shouldn't have.
Even though the money wasn't there. This is a important and necessary change.
Yeah. So we're missing a slide here too. So in addition to the BRO program, there's the Infrastructure Act actually has a bridge formula program as well. I hope is that in the e-books? Okay, that's an additional program that is in the infrastructure bill. So that's really a program for the whole state, MoDOT bridges and local bridges. So it's $523 million over the full 5 years in the new federal bill. With that, though, they have a kind of guidelines how to distribute the money based on who owns the poor bridges. So if you take that 20.35% of the poor bridges, and Brian's folks figured that out, not a design folks, 20.35% of those poor bridges that are off system, meaning it's on a low volume road, are owned by counties or some cities. So over this 5 years, we're going to take 20.35% of that overall 523 million and get that out to those local owners of those bridges. The good thing about this money is it doesn't require any federal match. So this really helps out the counties because they have trouble coming up with that match. So by combining this money with the BRO money, we can lower that overall match that the counties are going to have to use.
And so that 20.35%, the requirement in the federal bill is 15%. But the way MoDOT's going to do it is proportional to the square footage of Port Bridge deck. So we think this is a real benefit. It adds over $30 million that are going to be distributed of 100% federal money to counties. It's a big deal. It's going to translate into dozens and dozens of additional bridges.
And so this is where kind of the change comes in then. And as you can see there, we're hoping to get about 30 extra bridges per year just with this program and with the addition that Patrick talked about. So, we could have done that minimum, but, it's good to do the 20.35 to get it out there. Average bridge on a local system costs about $500,000. So, all right, so that gets us to the money. So in the past, you'll remember we had distributed that BRO on the per county basis, 114 counties. We talked to several other states, no other state in the union we could find does that. They said, why were you doing that? That's crazy. So, because that's a lot of extra accounting. We're going to switch to distribute the money by MoDOT region, by MoDOT district. So as we do this, you can see kind of the change in funds. 2022 federal fiscal year that we're in right now, it's kind of our transition year, as we work with those existing balances that the counties have. 2023 and 2024, we are going to just distribute 15% of that bridge formula program money these first 2 years. And then the last 2 years of the federal bill, 25 and 26, we want to distribute the full amount to catch it up to get to that full 20.35%. And a little bit the reasons we want to do that is we want to kind of build up the construction industry for this as well. If you look, about half of the contractors that replace bridges on the local system, they don't do any work for MoDOT. You know, we're pretty small contractors and small consultants to do this. So we kind of want to ramp up the work as we can and build it up. So those last 2 years, they can be ready to do the full program. So what we're going to do is what we've already launched is we ask for a call for projects from the counties. We're going to work to create a 3-year schedule of off-system, county-owned, locally owned bridges that the counties can be working on in development. You know, because the old system, a lot of times the county would say, all right, I'm going to do a bridge. I'm going to start right now. Well, it takes a while to do a project with environmental and everything else. 18 months minimum, sometimes 2 years. So all that time, they would wait till they had to balance, then start their project. So that led to a lot of money just sitting around instead of getting bridges replaced. So if we set up an existing 3-year schedule, we feel that's going to help keep the jobs rolling into program development and also a schedule that the contractors can see. Pretty important in this transition year, we're going to ensure that the counties that, you know, they can see those balances that we had put out there years, and some of those counties we're trying to build up a balance. We're going to ensure that those counties that have a balance keep that existing balance moving forward. So as we're looking at bridges, we're going to say, all right, you're going to use your existing balance plus some of this additional new money. You're going to get your bridge built. We have with Brian's folks provided a list of all the eligible bridges that the locals owned. And we included the construction estimate for the replacement bridge to put back. We kind of put this out there to help counties to try to make it as simple as possible. They can know what it's going to cost and apply for it themselves. I mentioned before, we're going to combine the bridge replacement program, the bridge formula program money together so they can have lower overall match requirements. So the counties can not have to come up with as much out-of-pocket money to get some of this federal dollars spent. In addition, once the counties prioritize and select their bridges for each county, we've got to kind of roll that up to the district level. So we're going to put together, the districts are busily putting together a regional bridge selection team. And these are comprised of county commissioners, select county commissioners from the local regional planning commissions. So the regional planning commissions help us with administration for all projects on the MoDOT side and on the local side. They're actually selecting county commissioners, a group of them from their area. You know, so some districts have, 21, 27 counties. We can't have that many people doing the final selection. So they may pick one county commissioner from their RPC, and that group of county commissioners will be looking at the list to help prioritize and set that first 3-year schedule of bridges. After we have that first 3-year schedule set, we're going to do this every year to add an additional year, kind of like we do MoDOT STIP as a program. In addition, we're going to set aside some of this funding for large bridge or emergency needs. As you see, we get bridges hit all the time, happens to the counties as well. Or some counties have bridges that are large, over 200 foot. They cost over $1 million, $2 million. That's a pretty big hit to a regional's allotted budget. So we're going to allow them to apply and kind of start a mini major bridge program, I guess you could say, on that level for it. So we've put that information out. Their applications from the counties are due July 22nd. And we are going to do the process and have the final 3-year bridge list around by September the 16th. And if you look at that picture to the right, actually, Marty Lyle and Tori Schlegel in the Northwest District, we've been getting out and talking to folks. We went to the regional county commissioner meeting the other day. This is pretty typical. The northwest part of the state has most of the bad bridges. This bridge is actually right in Carrollton, and it's about 40 foot long, and it's a poor bridge. That's what you see mainly on the county system or small bridges like that. So this program is really going to help us get a bunch of those taken care of. So with that, I'm presenting today. If you remember Ashley when we did the design update, she had her third child, so she's still on maternity leave. Otherwise, Ashley would be up here doing the presentation. But these are the folks that's been doing the heavy lifting on this, and I think they put together a really good program. It's new. We're getting a lot of feedback from the counties from it, good and concerns, since it's a change. So we're going to be changing it as we move forward. We'll modify to make it as seamless as possible. Really, a lot of the feedback, though, amazingly enough, we have some counties that are worried about change, but most counties, they see the reason for it. They said, yeah, this will be good. We'll be able to see what's coming up. We'll be able to work on our bridge. If they can start working on their bridge, they're going to do construction for in 2023 or 2024 right now. So when that year hits, they're ready to build let the job, do the bridge. The contracting community will be able to see this list of jobs coming up. Because these jobs are, they are advertised like on our website, but we don't actually do the bid openings. The counties do. But this will help the contractors see these bridges coming up and the consultants as well. So we feel it's really going to help streamline the system. So with that, I went really fast, I know, but I wanted to give you all time for questions or comments, and we'll be happy to go speak with anybody whenever about this program. I'm actually going to go talk to the Missouri Association of RPCs tomorrow about it, which has a lot of reps, and any county commissioner group, large or small, we'll chat with them about the program. So
Comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a comment. Great presentation. Glad to get this presentation. I know the rumbling was going around for a few months and started getting phone calls. Oh my gosh, they're going to take away our BRO program.
Yeah.
You know how the rumors get started. Yeah. So, some people are just opposed to change, but it looks like it'll be a good change. And I know in my area, the BRO program they use it a lot. Yeah. So, good report.
Yeah, we hope it really simplifies the process. A lot of times they saw a dollar amount on a piece of paper. It really wasn't like they were getting cash, but a lot of that was just sitting out there and tying up funds that should have been spent quite a bit quicker. So this will keep that federal money flowing. And actually, our federal representatives in DC and our federal highway folks will see that we're spending the money once we get it going. It's going to take a while to get it started, but they could actually see the books and see that some of this BRO money was setting as a balance, which is not a good thing because the need's out there. We need to get the money spent. So,
But it really wasn't there.
yeah, I mean, it was, yeah.
Travis, thank you.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Good job,
Coming
Travis.
down and we had 7 counties, Terry, meet. About how many do we have there? 18?
Yeah,
17,
but most of them.
And it sure cleared those seven counties up. So I appreciate you all taking your time to come down.
The best time to transition is when there's more resources available. There are more resources available. I think MoDOT's showing that we're putting, $30 million more than required by the federal government of 100% federal funds in here. We worked with the Association of Counties and, Steve Hobbs has been very helpful. This is going to be a good thing. We're going to get more work done. The project development's we're probably going to shave on average 2 years off project development in this program. That's going to save everybody money.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great job. Thanks, Travis.
Next item is public comment period. We have 2 speakers today. The first is Sandy Lucy, former mayor of Washington, Missouri. Welcome again.
Well, I just said to Darren, it sure is a whole lot more fun to attend these meetings when there's money to spend.
We know.
Amen.
This is exciting, really exciting. I wanted to be here today or sometime. As you know, I'm no longer mayor. I announced last November that I wouldn't be serving as mayor. I wasn't going to run again, mostly because, and really the real reason was my mom, who just turned 93 on the 4th of July, was beginning to have some health issues. And I felt like she was going to be needing me more and more, and I'm an only child. So these guys did a great job with the city team because probably she fell in February, and in the last 3 months, I was really out of control. So anyway, but I made it, and I'm just happy to be here and wanted to be here to thank you. Washington has always had a great relationship with MoDOT. And that didn't just happen while I was mayor. It was something that I was able to build on and something that we were able to nurture as we went along. But we've always had a wonderful relationship with you all. And we're so fortunate to have that. And I was first elected in 2010, and it was that year when we were just opening the first section of Highway 100, the expansion, which we were one of the first communities that you had come to ask for the cost share, that we would help to pay for that. And we'll be paying that off in 2030, right? Yeah, got that one right. Anyway, but that was a big deal for us to actually get into a working relationship with MoDOT. And so I want to thank you for that. And then, of course, in 2018, we were able to open our bridge and that was pretty exciting as well. And again, that wasn't cost share, but we did raise pennies and we did raise money and presented that to you all. The photo ended up at my seat, but we did have that with our school children raising pennies. And that was really fun. So anyway, it was really, you can pass that down. It's just been good. And my dad was a truck driver. You probably know that one already. And my dad was always worried about highways. So I think that that's probably why I was so passionate about everything that MoDOT did and the transportation as well, because I heard it all my life. That what are we going to do about the roads and the bridges? And so I'm here to say thank you. I want to introduce our new mayor, Doug Hagedorn. He grew up in Washington. Served in the Air Force, and his career was as a pilot for Delta. So he is into transportation as well. So we may be looking at our airport when you have a mayor that's into flying. So anyway, so that we can put that on our radar. And then Darren Lamb is with us, and Darren is our city administrator right now. So I feel confident that I've left the city in a good place. And I've always enjoyed hosting you in Washington. And hopefully we can get you to come back one more time, and then we'll show you our next project that we want, because that's usually how that happens. And it was Dwayne Mickey, your grandfather, who even told me there was a highway commission. I didn't know there even was a highway commission, but he told me about it and how you all visited communities. And it was shortly after that we had you visit. So I brought some cigars to share with you as commissioners. And so anyway, do you have any questions or anything like that? I'm running down, my timer is going down, so.
No question, just a comment. Thank you for being here today. And it's always been, you're so cheerful and bubbly. And I remember in Kansas City when we awarded this project, she jumped up and she running around, didn't she?
I did do that. So anyway.
People like you that makes our job fun when we can do projects together, Sandy, and good luck on your retirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to visit.
Right. And I do invite you to come back, and Gary's still painting, so you can come by and see the studio and everything like that. And we would love to have you. I'm speaking for the current team, but we'd love to have you back in Washington. So
Thanks for coming. Not many people come in here and thank us.
I was going to say, Sandy, you came to tell us thank you, and we should be thanking you for your hard work and your entire communities. I'm sure they're grateful, and they know the work that you've done, but an amazing career you had as mayor, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
You do.
I just to follow up on that. I mean, I cried for a while. They all know, and but I feel incredibly loved by our community, right? And it just really has been a wonderful experience, and so I wanted to share with you all. But thank you. Okay, and so we're running out of time. I'm going to share my cigars and Mr. Briscoe.
Yeah, he was.
I'm listening. Thanks, Sandy.
Oh, you're welcome. I missed seeing you today.
Thanks, Sandy.
Sorry I couldn't be there.
We enjoy going across your bridge all the time, and my wife even knows what core 10 steel is.
Changes color, and you like that color.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, keeps us from having to paint it.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Okay, so who's going to see Mr. Briscoe?
Yeah, we'll get it to him.
I'll protect it.
Should we line it up now?
Great photo. I didn't see it, but Doug saw it. A great photo from the bridge with our fireworks the other night.
Huh?
That walking path.
Right. Well, Sandy, and you'll note that the commission just approved, just moments ago, $86 million for Highway 47. So,
Oh, we need that, but I thought I.
yeah. But that was when we came to cut the ribbon on the bridge, the entire meeting was about 47. So it did.
Get that done and then we'll give you our next project.
Not that, I don't think a car had crossed the bridge yet.
Right, our next speaker is Arnie Dinoff. Arnie, 5 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dinoff, State Public Advocate, running for the St. Charles County Executive on August 2nd. I'm very frustrated on several fronts with the commission. This State Transportation Commission is a joke at times, in violation of Missouri revised state statutes and the Missouri Constitution approved by we the people in 1929. This commission is run by out-of-state bureaucrats who are profiting from we as Missouri taxpayers. This current commission, secretary of the commission, legal counsel, transportation director has a really very concerning transparency problem. Chapter 610, the State Open Meetings Act and Free Exchange Disclosure of Documents Act, Chapter 610.011 states liberal construction of law to be public policy. It is a public policy of the state that meetings, records, votes, actions, and deliberations of all public governmental bodies be open to the public unless otherwise provided by law. Section 610.010 and 610.0200 shall be liberally construed and their exceptions strictly construed to promote this public policy. Chapter 610.023, records of governmental bodies to be in the care of custodian duties. And that each request for access to public records shall be acted upon as soon as possible, but in no event than the end of the third business day, not 60 days, my current pending request before the commission, following the date of the request is received by the custodian of records of a public governmental body. We talked about, somebody brought up ebook documentation. In May, 60 days ago, before this commission, I made the following verbal impersonal information and documents requests. Number one, the contract, huge salary increase, and benefit package given to the Department Director McKenna. Still no reply from the commission. The May meeting of the commission, which includes supporting documents, attachments, reports, PowerPoint presentations, contracts, memorandums, and other documents in your e-documents that I've asked for years for you to put online. 3, closed meeting minutes, decisions, votes, and decisions by the commission. My requests have been blown off, disregarded, and responded to. This is not the Missouri Country Club, cigar, poker, champagne, and wine perks while making deals in the back room. This is irresponsible and unethical bad governance. Each one of you think that this is a joke, that I can be ignored, and that I will just fade away. Well, I'll be at every meeting from here on out. Why the hate and disdain to a Missouri citizen who cares about his state? My new request, the June Commission supporting documents, attachments, reports, PowerPoint presentations, contracts, memorandum, and other documents. This is a verbal request allowed under the law. 2, the July Commission supporting documents, attachments, reports, PowerPoint presentations, contracts, memorandums, and other documents. 3, the Transportation Director's huge increase in salary and benefits. Missouri citizens have a right to know. I will report all information and violations to the State Transportation Committee of the House of Representatives, the Transportation Infrastructure Committee of the State Senate, the Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt, the Cole County Prosecuting Attorney Luke Thompson. I went online to comment on the State Transportation Improvement Plan, the STIP that was talked about before, plan on both June 16th and 17th, 2022. I was boxed out and not allowed to submit my public comment and testimony. I called the IT staff of the department, left a message of the trouble, and no response. Crickets. On the 5-cent state gasoline tax increase, thus far, the additional 7.5-cent increase through 2025, all Missouri citizens must keep your gas receipts, the amount of gallons. Every citizen can request a full refund on the Missouri Department of Revenue's website. I'm requesting for the 10th time of the commission and the director, Mr. McKenna, please take notes. A full statewide sweep in all department, districts, and regions of illegal political signs on State Department of Transportation right-of-way, ROW. 2, a full St. Louis district sweep. 3, a sweep of St. Charles County. I'm asking you to be proactive in doing routine patrols. Do not wait for complaints. MoDOT employees pass these illegal and unsafe signs each and every day, ignore them, and do nothing. Missouri 79 at TR Hughes, Missouri 79 at 170, and I'll sum it up, Mr. Chairman, to Pike County, Missouri 79 at I-70, Missouri Route K, Missouri Highway 94, and I could go on and on and on across our state. The state constitution, the Missouri state statutes and law, along with promulgated rules and regulations, which I have all the sightings, prohibit both political and business signage on right-of-way. It is wrong and unlawful. We need to do some enforcement and a no-tolerance approach. I have put in numerous ticket requests in the MoDOT Transportation Center, and again, crickets. And so you have an obligation to follow the state constitution, the promulgated rules in section 220, 6.50 and 226.600 of the revised state statutes. I look in the next few weeks that those political signs and other
Mr. Danoff, your time's up, sir.
be removed. Thank you.
Okay, typically at the end of each meeting, we like to provide each commission member the opportunity to share any concerns or comments we may have. Today, I'm going to start with John. Are you on there, John?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am. I just, there's been so much discussed. There's so many things that I was excited about. Michelle Watkins's report and her team, that was an exciting thing. The bridge, Brian's report on the bridges and all that. I guess probably pretty much the neatest thing for me, the fact that STIP, this 10, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. This $10 billion STIP is 5 times the size of the STIP that we had when I first came on the commission 6.5 years ago. And I just, our team, our employees, everybody has done such a tremendous job, and I appreciate it. And I apologize to everybody, and especially Terry, for not being there last night. And but I'm feeling a hell of a lot better today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Briscoe. Commissioner Eckert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My first comment is that the luncheon today is fantastic. And whoever, getting those organized and set up, they're great. I thought today's was one of the best that we had. We learned a lot of stuff that concerns of the employees and a few items that we hadn't really talked about before. So that's a great idea, and I hope we keep doing that. As Commissioner Briscoe said, the STIP is just fantastic. Amazing what we're able to accomplish when you have a little bit more resource. And I'm really happy about the money we're going to be spending on maintenance of the low volume roads, lettered routes. All the other reports are great. I felt kind of weird up here today because you have those dreams when you're a kid and you end up in front of that classroom and you're naked doing a report or something. I don't have a suit and tie on. I've been feeling naked all day up here, so
You look kind of that way too, Terry.
I apologize for that because I had rotator cuff surgery and I didn't really want to struggle with a tie and a jacket. So, but these guys look so good over here, and I feel underdressed. So, Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're fine. Mr. Boatright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just an exciting time. The passage of this tip today is super exciting. We're going to get after a backlog of projects that, I guess have been kicked down the road for many, many years. And it's exciting to see the tides turned and the team focused in the right direction. So appreciate all the reports and everything the folks in this room and the folks throughout Missouri do to better our infrastructure. So thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, pretty well been said. Brian, I really, really enjoyed your report. I like to listen about bridges. Michelle, you and your team, great job. Lots of things going on there in the central district. $10 billion, that's exciting. I remember sitting here when we were, didn't know how we were really going to pay for things, not doing anything, couldn't even maintain the system. So that's exciting. Sandy, it's always good to see you, Mayor, and your team for being here. We appreciate that. I guess that concludes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Waters.
Kind of echo what Greg said. I remember the 325 plan when I first started, and we were trying to hire a new director. And I wondered, why would anybody want to come to Missouri when we have no money? And Patrick has stepped up, and look where we are today, $10 billion. So Patrick, a lot of that's on you, and I appreciate your hard work and the hard work of Ed and the senior management team, all the way down to the newest employee in the maintenance shed. It's been a real team effort to get to where we are. And from here, who knows where we go, right? So MoDOT's got a lot of great things going on, and I'm just proud of everyone. Echo what Terry said about lunch today. I thought that was our best yet, being able to sit down with employees across the lunch table and visit. Had a great time with that. I thought maybe we should have kept lunch going longer and shortened this meeting, because I just gained a lot out of that. So thanks for setting that up, and hope that continues. And then finally, Terry, thanks for dinner last night. Just appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I don't have a lot to add to that, but I would say Commissioner Ecker and I have been here 5 years. It seems like we just got here. Maybe because we're just starting to have fun. I don't know. But it's been a joy to be here. The other thing I was missing earlier, I said 5% less fatalities. That means 50 people will be at Christmas this year with their children. 50 people. And we got a long ways to go. 2/3 of the deaths in this state are still unbuckled. So everybody in here, go home. Tell them to buckle up, calm down. Sorry I was so emotional about that. Thank you. Oh, entertain a motion to so move. Moved and seconded. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Goodbye.
He didn't care. It'd be hard, wouldn't it?